Dy kandidatët për zëvendës-president të Shteteve të Bashkuara të Amerikës u ndeshën për një numër të madh temash në një debat televiziv me 7 tetor. Zëvendës-presidenti aktual, Mike Pence, dhe kundërshtarja e tij nga Partia Demokratike, senatorja Kamala Harris, ishin të ndarë me mburoja plastike për të mbrojtur nga koronavirusi. Pandemia mbizotroi debatin pasi Pence mbrojti planin e reagimit të presidentit Donald Trump, i cili u diagnostikua me COVID-19 një javë më parë.
Our nation has gone through a very challenging time this year. But I want the American people to know that from the very first day, President Donald Trump has put the health of America first.
Pence ngriti lart vendimin e hershëm të Trumpit për të kufizuar udhëtimet nga Kina në fillim të pandemisë.
I can tell you, having led the White House Coronavirus Task Force, that decision alone by President Trump bought us invaluable time to stand up the greatest national mobilization since World War II. And I believe it saved hundreds of thousands of American lives.
Por 10 mijëra persona ende udhëtuan nga Kina pas vendimit, dhe Harris tha se Trump dështoi për të vepruar sa më herët, dhe ai vetë pranoi se kishte minimizuar kërcënimin nga virusi.
The American people have witnessed what is the greatest failure of any presidential administration in the history of our country. And they knew what was happening and they didn't tell you. Can you imagine if you knew on January 28th, as opposed to March 13th, what they knew, what you might have done to prepare? They knew and they covered it up. The president said it was a hoax. They minimized the seriousness of it. The president said, you're on one side of his ledger if you wear a mask, you're on the other side of his ledger if you don't. And in spite of all of that, today they still don't have a plan. They still don't have a plan. Well, Joe Biden does. And our plan is about what we need to do around a national strategy for contact tracing, for testing, for administration of the vaccine, and making sure that it will be free for all.
Harris vuri në dyshime premtimin e Trumpit për të pasur një vaksinë kundër COVID-19 në kohë rekorde, duke thënë se qëllimet politike mund të kërcënojnë shëndetin.
Half of Americans now say they wouldn't take a vaccine if it was released now. If the Trump administration approves a vaccine before or after the election, should Americans take it, and would you take it?
If the public health professionals, if Dr. Fauci, if the doctors tell us that we should take it, I'll be the first in line to take it, absolutely. But if Donald Trump tells us that we should take it, I'm not taking it.
The reality is that we're going to have a vaccine, Senator, in record time, in unheard of time, in less than a year. We have 5 companies in phase 3 clinical trials, and we're right now producing tens of millions of doses. So the fact that you continue to undermine public confidence in a vaccine, if the vaccine emerges during the Trump administration, I think is unconscionable. And Senator, I just ask you, stop playing politics with people's lives. The reality is that we will have a vaccine, we believe, before the end of this year.
Për politikën e jashtme, Harris tha se administrata Trump kishte dobësuar marrëdhëniet me aleatët.
What we have seen with Donald Trump is that he has betrayed our friends and embraced dictators around the world. Let's take, for example, Russia. You look at our friends at NATO. He has walked away from agreements. You can look at the Iran nuclear deal, which now has put us in a position where we are less safe because they are building up what might end up being a significant nuclear arsenal. We were in that deal, guys. We were in the Iran nuclear deal with friends, with allies around the country. And because of Donald Trump's unilateral approach to foreign policy, coupled with his isolationism, he pulled us out and has made America less safe.
Pence mbrojti udhëheqjen e Trumpit në skenën ndërkombëtare, duke përmendur shkatrimin e grupit militant Shteti Islamik.
We've stood strong with our allies, but we've been demanding. NATO is now contributing more to our common defense than ever before, thanks to President Trump's leadership. We've strengthened our alliances across the Asia-Pacific, and we've stood strong against those who would do us harm. You know, when President Trump came into office, ISIS had captured an area of the Middle East the size of Pennsylvania. But President Trump unleashed the American military, and our armed forces destroyed the ISIS caliphate and took down their leader al-Baghdadi without one American casualty.
You are president screwing things up.
Gjatë debatit kishte më shumë rregull dhe ishte më civil se ballafaqimi 29 shtatorit ndërmjet Bidenit dhe Trumpit, i cili u zhvillua pak para se presidenti të diagnostikohej me COVID-19. Por edhe këtu kishte ndërprerje dhe momente tensioni.
Joe Biden has been very clear. He will not raise taxes on anybody who makes less than $400,000
He said
a
he's going to
year.
repeal the Trump tax cuts.
Mr. Vice President, I'm speaking. I'm speaking.
Kandidatët për zëvendës-president luajnë një rol përkrahas gjatë fushatës zgjedhore, por kur dihet se Trumpi dhe Bideni janë në të 70-tat e tyre, ka një vëmendje të shtuar mbi aftësitë e zëvendës-presidentëve për të drejtuar vendin nëse është e nevojshme.